welcome to the Quackcast. I'm Ozone with me is Tatsuruza Baines. Hello.
Hello, hello.
Hello.
Alright, cue the theme music. Baines, quickly play it, man. Get out your drum set. Drunkduck Quackcast. I'm Ozone, of course, with these Tarts and Baines. We've already introduced ourselves. And we're talking about Lurv because February has Valentine's Day, which was last week now. And so yeah, we're talking about love in comics, different kinds of love. So not necessarily just like boyfriend girlfriend or boyfriend boyfriend or girlfriend girlfriend or whatever. But or even more than that. We're talking about brother and sister, parent and child, person and pet, person and car they love, whatever. All those different things. So we're gonna expand it.
Let's say not the car because I don't know. Do we want to do unreciprocated love?
Yeah. Just love is love.
Okay.
We won't talk about stalkers.
The unrequited.
Yeah. Well, we could talk about stalker love, but yeah, I don't really want to get into that. So, yeah.
No, that's not love, though.
Beneath the opera house.
Oh God! Yes. Oh God!
I don't know if he's a stalker technically. Maybe depends on the version.
Classically, yeah. All right. So before we get into that, we have to bring up the featured comic. I featured a comic called Vackman this week. Vackman. So I'm going to tell you about Vackman now. Hello, I'm Ozone Ocean, and my feature for the week was Vackman. Abel has suffered terribly. He dies in awful pain after being attacked by a demon and seeing his family killed. If only someone could save him. Hoover is a small, silly vacuum cleaner demon. He doesn't have many prospects, and other demons pick on him. If only he could find someone who needs him. These two entities find one another and unite in an unlikely team. Vackman is born, part man, part demon, vacuum cleaner. Will they be able to help one another? This is a very interesting pixel art webcomic, all done with line art. It has a very unusual look to it. The story is pared down and quite simple, but it's still very engaging and interesting because of the focus on these two characters. So have a look at the interesting pixel line art. This is not something that you see regularly in comics. Comics tend to mostly these days have a look of a bit of sameness because everyone usually, mostly does digital art with a proper tablet with a pressure sensitive pen. That's all the rage these days. And Vackman doesn't have that look. It just doesn't have it. It's still all 100% digital art, but it's not a smooth looking comic. It has a pixely look, so it reminds you of Sprite kind of stuff, but it's not because it's pixel art where the artist has created the look totally themselves. They're not borrowing anything. It's all 100% their own art. So have a check of Vackman and see how you like it. See how you like getting into it and how it goes and the characters. Okay, so that was a comic by Spooky Kitsune, and it's rated T for teen. That was good old featured comic Vackman with the character, the person who did it was Spooky Kitsune, which they are a fantastic artist, and it's a really kind of interesting comic. So hope you enjoy.
Yeah, and their interview is up, so go read that as well.
I'll have to link to that. Link to the interview. I'll have to write that in my notes. Link to interview. Excellent. And Baines, there's going to be something else on it as well, is there? Or is that not to be?
Oh yeah, I don't know if it's come up yet or if it's coming up, but there's a review in Gene Joke's comic Light Bites, there's a review of Batman. I was part of the review, and I really enjoyed the comic.
Oh my god, so it's all coming up roses. It's all coming up Millhouse for Spooky Kitsune. All right, well, next thing we've got to talk about is the featured music that Gummels has given us this week. So he has given us a theme to Opposites Attract. And it's interesting, when I went to find this, to get the link to it, I found there was a different Opposites Attract. So there's a couple of comics called Opposites Attract on the website. The exact same name, but they've just got a bit more of spaces in between them. That's how they separate, how they give them the same name. But yeah, both really good comics. So Opposites Attract. It's a frenetic and full of buzzing, diffuse energy that suffuses everything like a universal static charge. This music drank way too much espressos and Red Bulls, so now it's bouncing off the walls, tasting colour, and seeing in 5 dimensions. So take it away, Gummels, with your theme to Opposites Attract. Was the theme to Opposites Attract, which is a comic by, let's see, Peter Jean. It's interesting. Sounds like Gene Pitney, the famous cowboy country person. But
made me think of the Michael Jackson song, kind of.
Billie Jean.
Yeah.
Peter Jean. It's not my love.
It immediately makes you want to sing it, though.
Oh, amazing. Amazing tune.
Yeah.
Oh, dear. Talking about
the
love.
child is not my son.
Oh, she sings, I am the one. Oh, goodness me. All right. Yeah. So speaking about lovers, love is the topic of this particular Quackcast, and love in comics, and love everywhere else. Do you guys have love in your comics? I'm pretty sure you all do. Yeah. We all have love in our comics. We all fell for the same old cliches, tropes, and well-trodden things of putting love and sexual tension and stuff, didn't we? We're all hacks. We're all just unimaginative
Yeah.
dickheads.
Of course, it's our
Yeah.
professional thing that we do.
Yeah,
Exactly.
and we're conservative too because we didn't have like polyamory or anything, or advanced kind of love.
Yeah.
So we've just got the simple male female simple love in our comics. So,
Hey, they
basic.
say to write what you know, right?
True. Now that is quite sensible too, because there's nothing worse than someone trying to be woke when they don't know what they're talking about and they write something that's actually like by putting in their same-sex relationship, it turns out to be a little homophobic because it's their
Yeah.
wish fulfillment or their ideal
Mhm.
of a
Or it
same-sex.
is, yeah, or it is a little bit like tropey and stereotypical.
It's cliched. It's like doing
Yeah.
blackface because the problem with blackface isn't like you've got white people pretending they're black people. It's that you have people being like a caricatured version of this thing. So instead of having a real black person, you have this ridiculous fake, and that's the same kind of thing you've got with these not same-sex relationships in things, not at all, but
Mhm.
one's same-sex relationships by people who can't write them, who just want to do it for the like who want to do it because they think, oh yes, this will make my stuff look more woke. This will make my stuff look more kind of up to date. Then you kind of run into issues because unless you really know what you're doing or have a real feeling for it or doing it from a place of real sincerity, you
Mhm.
can end up with a caricatured kind of just weird untrue version of that kind of thing. That's
Or
what
or,
that's
or
my
you end,
interest.
yeah, or you end with a token gay person or token XYZ category person that you put in, and it's basically just like a placeholder. Their whole character is this, or something like. There are many
Yeah, the whole
calls.
character is their sexuality, which is, oh my god, there's
Mm,
nothing more homophobic than that. Don't put in a gay
yeah,
character if their only thing is that they're gay. Like, put in a gay character who is a character who just happens to be homosexual, and that's fantastic. That is perfect.
yeah.
Make every single character like that. Don't
There is
make their only personality their sexuality.
exactly, and the thing is, there is also like a cultural elements in this whole thing. Like for example, I don't know if it made the international news, probably did, but this week in Greece the legality of gay marriage was voted in,
Oh,
and
congratulations.
yeah, now
Hmm.
for the first time. Yeah, of course it will be the first time. What are you saying? Anyway, but from now on, gay marriage is legal in Greece, uh, which is huge, of course, and there were a lot of things and comments. You had, your garden variety, super conservative people saying that, oh, the family is coming undone, that sort of thing. And you had everybody else saying one thing that is super cultural, like now, welcome gay people to having your mothers ask you when you are gonna get married. We wish you equality in that. So anyway, which is like it's a common running
Yeah.
joke within Greeks of any sexuality, and yeah, I mean, eh, what I'm saying about the cultural element is that, barring certain occasions where you might be able to pick out yeah, local gay people, for being gay just by looking at them. Most of the times you don't know that they are that, because we have a very conservative society in the sense that you don't advertise your sexuality, no matter what it is. It's
Mhm.
you don't flaunt it. I don't know how else to say it. It doesn't mean that if you are heterosexual, it is fine to make out in the street. It's not.
Mm.
So, yeah, you cannot understand easily. And one of the things that I'm going to have in Without Moonlight Volume 2, where I will be, now that we know our main characters very well and all of that, I can like explore historical figures. There are certain people that were officially historically gay and part of society and did specific things that are very important, and we're going to look at them. And they are gay, and you cannot really tell. You never could. Although they were official, like they didn't deny that they were gay, ever. They were
Mhm.
not in the closet.
Yeah.
So you knew. But you wouldn't be able to tell by their appearance, is what I'm saying. And that is that like they wouldn't be wearing the, what am I saying?
They're not wearing hot
This
pants and
yeah, this well
cut off t-shirts with
it depends. I mean, it depends on the era because towards the 60s, 70s, everyone was in hot pants. All right. But what I'm saying is that certain elements of culture manifest someone's sexuality different across the board. And yeah, if you want to just make them like make a character to only have this sexuality as their characteristic, you are going to be disingenuous to them in everything else.
yeah.
That's what I don't know if that makes sense. It was very long-winded, but yeah.
True. Yeah, it's
Mhm.
like say if you're like depicting, I don't know, a famous character like Alexander the Great or Achilles or something
Mm-hmm.
like that are meant to have homosexual relationships,
Yeah.
and so homosexuality wasn't sort of seen culturally the same way then as it is now, because people weren't defined by their sexuality. That was just like a different part of their life, but it wasn't like their personality. So you wouldn't have Achilles sort of portrayed in a modern way that is a popular way to portray a gay person. You'd portray him as being, like a rough, violent person,
Yeah.
which he was, who just happens to like be a little bit more open in his sexuality than you typically portray a modern soldier.
Yeah, and that's a different thing. Like the context we had in like Greece, ancient Greeks, there was a whole regiment, like a whole army unit that was specifically picked because they were gay. And why was that? Because they served with their lovers, and they were so tight knit and had such a like fierce cohesion uh, as warriors that they were the deadliest thing on the battlefield, and that was their thing. It was that you had this army of gay guys that were so determined to protect themselves and their lover and their friends that were also lovers and stuff, that they were deadly, like super deadly. Nobody was pointing and laughing
Right.
at those. And but the point I'm trying to make is that back then it was not it was a different context of what it meant to be gay and how it was practiced as well, which is something that people overlook a lot. Like if that was the only thing that you had in your love life, then maybe you did have some problems. So if you were deemed that you will not be able to create children, for example, because you couldn't just be with a woman at all, then maybe you had problems being
Okay.
like solely gay. And a whole slew of other things that they don't resonate with us at all because they are alien to our culture.
Yeah,
Um,
culture, we're very
yeah.
different. That's an important factor to bring up. We often think we can easily understand historical things or things from different cultures, even in our own time, just by relating it to things we know in our culture. But that's not usually completely correct, because people in earlier times and even in contemporary cultures now think about things in a very different way. Especially you get that if you're reading like Norse myth. So reading Norse myth, oh my god, it's a huge for me anyway. Like reading that is it's mind blowing in the way these people related to things like death and like causing harm to one another and thievery and stuff like that. It's they sort of think about it in a totally alien way to us, and you have to put your mind. You have to change gears in your head in order to sort of think in those kind of ways in order to understand the stuff. You can't directly relate it to how we think, because
Exactly.
culturally they're very different because they came from a different time, different religion, different everything. So it really does affect the way you think. Anyway, we're talking about love though, so
Yeah, we are, but it is really important that. So, yeah,
yes, yeah, different ways of understanding love. All right, so
yeah.
I don't know. Look, bring it back to comics and stuff. In my comics, I've got a very simplistic kind of love kind of stuff. I mean, my main comic, Pinky TA, there's sort of like a bit of a weird tension between Pinky and this guy Ace Kincaid, like a bit of a tension. That's all I'll say. I'm not going to go any more than that. And then Cece and him, you might infer something, but there's never anything explicit said in the comic that they have a sexual relationship. So it's personally, I would think that their relationship is more just one of workmates. I don't think they have a kind of sexual relationship, but someone else reading it might infer that they do, and that's fine. So I keep that on a level that can be interpreted, and I'm happy to have that interpreted. I'm not being explicit in how they are with each other. So that's how I deal with that. Then we've got like Bottomless Waitress, but Baines and I did. Baines actually writes it, so he's more responsible for how the characters behave. But we have, it's all focused around a couple of love stories, isn't it?
Yeah, and fairly standard, I guess, for the most part.
For the most part, yes. Oh
yeah.
no, it's actually interesting. Okay, so in Bottomless Waitress, we have, oh my god, so many overlapping love.
Yeah.
Like, quadrilaterals. Okay, so we've got like the main one there is like that Craig has a crush on Jane, and that's something that's kind of bubbling below the surface. But Jane has a boyfriend, and she's in love with her boyfriend.
That's how we start.
Yes.
She's crazy in love with each other. Yeah.
But yeah, that's not to be a solid kind of thing, because he's in lust, which is a different kind of love with the these sisters. I can't remember their names. The nasty
I think
sisters.
your names keep changing. I have to look through the comic.
The smelly sisters.
Yeah.
So he's in love with them. Then we have a character called Nikki, who's this big truck driver girl who's in
right.
love with Frances, the buxom, short little Marilyn Monroe kind of waitress.
Yeah.
But she's not in love with Nikki. She's all with the boys, and she's in love with any boy at the moment. So she just loves boys. And then there's
Polly.
Wilfred.
Oh, well,
And
yeah.
Wilfred has a thing for Francis as well, just like Nikki does. But Francis really doesn't know he exists.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then we have, Polly, and we don't know Polly's. Polly's like out of love, isn't she? She had love, but she doesn't have it anymore.
Yeah. She's the one who kind of goes against the grain. I mean, now that you're laying this all out, I'm thinking about it in these terms. Yeah. She's more cynical. She's disillusioned. She probably is as active as she wants to be. You know, she's no shortage of possibilities out there, but she, kind of shattered by the breakup many years before the comic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. She's
with her ex. Oh, Terrence did a whole profile on Polly, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, I did.
Which was amazing. Yeah.
Thank
you. I think she's sort of afraid of love.
Mm.
She's fine with sex.
Yeah.
She sees it as separate.
She's afraid of betrayal, in my opinion. Like to go through the whole trust, then break of this trust again. So.
For sure.
Exactly. But she's fine with teasing people and all those kind of shallow aspects of love. So she's into the shallow fun, shallow waters rather than the deeper waters of love.
Yeah, they're non-committing ones, I would say.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So polarization is quite complex with all its love
Mm-hmm.
that's happening.
That's a good point. Yeah. Under the surface, there's a lot going on.
And we did discuss, because we've got Nikki, the big truck driver lady, having a crush on Francis, and we did discuss having Francis actually waking up to that and reciprocating, but that would be a betrayal of Francis's character, and that would not. So that would be we wouldn't be being woke by doing that. We would be just messing up Francis' character in order to conform to an expectation.
Mm-hmm.
So we had deep discussions over this. Like Nikki needs someone who is for Nikki.
Yes.
Not someone who is just.
Yeah, I would even go as far to say that she deserves someone that is for her.
Exactly.
So.
Yes.
Exactly. Not having.
I don't know exactly what's going to happen, but the way I write, yes.
Yeah, the way you write.
the way I write, she's probably going to be all right.
Yeah.
Because I like characters to end up happy.
Yeah, I trust Baines with this a lot more than I trust myself.
So I mean, we don't know what's going to happen, but I would hazard to guess that it would not be another person like Nikki. It'd be some other unexpected, interesting person.
And that's another thing. You might have for example, if you take the love story of my grandparents, neither of them wanted A, to be married, and B, to be married to a person like the one they married. My grandfather would say, according to accounts, and because they would laugh about it afterwards, that I will never marry a short woman in glasses. And guess what he married? And like the first time that he noticed my grandma, she actually didn't have her glasses on. And not because it's because she I don't know, something had happened, and for some reason she didn't have her glasses on, and she was unable to, she was short-sighted, so she couldn't discern people. and
And
she
she was
would peer.
probably standing. She was standing up on an apple box when he first saw her.
So she had to like really stare at people to try and discern, like peer at them a little bit, and
Oh,
my grandfather walked in apparently, and she peered at him really intensely, and he thought that she was attracted to him. And
that's so
Oh,
that's
funny.
how
Wow.
yeah, that's how he first paid attention to her. So there you have it.
that's
That's
hilarious.
amazing.
Yeah,
So crazy.
he's like, oh, that nice lady is paying attention to me. Okay, let's go meet her.
Oh dear, embarrassing. So,
Yeah.
do you have like you've got a lot of love happening in your comic? I mean, the main thing, like the heartbreaking love story in Without Moonlight, is between Basil and Martha.
Martha. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And Basil dies.
Yeah.
But love continues because Martha is pregnant.
Yeah. Which is like the most horrid plot device that you could. um.
I feel like you
And
don't see that all the time, though. Like it feels
yeah, that's
pretty. Yeah.
yeah. Now that you mention it, maybe I mean because the whole point, and I don't know, I don't think I will spoil it really that much, but yeah, um, the they do have like back in the day, you had to be married to have sex. Okay, so they
Mm.
technically break that
Mhm.
because they are both, drunk and love drunk at the same time, and
Mhm.
and they have this oopsie situation.
Yeah.
So yeah, the kid that is going to be born is going to be pretty important in the next volume. I do have like a lot of plot hinges on this kid, so he's
Oh,
not just a byproduct of oh let's have this kid in the story because Basil died. Like it's not a placeholder for Basil.
right.
But yeah, it is a tragic story, and it's mostly Basil's fault. He could have had a lot more time with her if he was not an idiot. So
Mm.
So the child continues the legacy, and it's called like Ray Skywalker or something like that. I
Ray,
think.
it's gonna be a boy, by the way. Sorry, I mean it's not, I don't think that is a spoiler, but uh, yeah, his name is Ray, and and the moment he's born, like the leader of the Germans there, of the Nazis there, just dies out of a heart attack. It's like he's
Yeah.
that chosen. He's like super chosen.
Nice.
Do
That makes sense.
everything.
So the other main leader of all the Nazis comes down in his black cloak and black helmet, breathing heavily.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, and of course we have to just take the baby and hide it in the Greek desert somewhere, and
Yes.
okay. So yeah. Anyway, so yeah, that is true love between these two people. This is my one couple that is like the dedicated couple that are genuinely in love with each other. They have like the super sexual tension between them when they are not very much together in many scenes because they do different things. But these are my super dedicated power couple that unfortunately gets broken too fast.
Yeah.
But yeah, I also have um, I have the manipulative thing between Iris and Orestes, and they have lust for each other. Like they like each other. They have fun in bed, but that is part of their quid pro quo relationship that they have.
Yeah.
What else? I do
Well,
have.
there's
Go on.
yeah. Well, I was just going to say the Germans between them. You have
Mm-hmm.
between Iris and the.
Oh well, I
She's
don't
giving.
count that as love. She's just paying him with sex.
Yeah,
Yeah.
um,
but there is
but
a relationship there, though.
yeah, he likes her. He definitely likes her, and he is giving her. He protects her basically from the hardship of the occupation because she is his mistress, and he also, of course, uses her as this mole in the resistance. But even if she weren't a mole, I think that he would just like her as his secretary and live his secretary fantasies with her. Um, so there's definitely that. Also, there is like true brotherly, like bromance love. I mean, non-sexual love between Arthur and Raban. Um,
Yeah.
Also broken up because one of them died. um,
Nice.
yeah, and Raban is the like super callous and completely all the way Nazi guy, and Arthur is the one that has the problems. Um, so there's that,
Yeah, gives
but
a bit more humanity to Arthur.
yeah, and then what else? There is, uh,
Martha
there-
Flores, sort of
yeah,
a
yeah,
mother-son thing, and sister,
totally,
brother, big sister, little brother thing. Yeah.
totally,
Yeah,
absolutely,
good point. Big sister, little brother. Yeah.
yeah,
And
and see,
also kind of like two soldiers together. They're also
mhm,
that kind of, right? Yeah.
yeah,
I love that
yeah,
Oh,
kind of thing.
that's a good one, Baines. Okay, so there's the general brothers in arms kind of thing happens a lot in
mhm,
Dark Moonlight. I mean, there's that kind of relationship between all the Leapers in the beginning.
yeah, absolutely, yeah, and yeah, there is also it's not that once they're too young yet, but Diomedes and Alex are a little bit closer to each other than they are to everybody else. So, but they are too young to have like romantic love. They just really uh, are more tight. Let's say they are tighter together
Yeah.
Mhm.
than the others. But they are, yeah, all dedicated to each other, and they are a team, and they basically go on missions to steal food. So absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, classic brothers in arms. Now this is one of these things that is often repurposed in the modern mind because we don't understand their cultural references. So
Mhm.
so people often think of brothers in arms as being like a homosexual relationship,
Mm-mm.
thinking it's actual like there's some kind of sexual dimension to it, which there could be, but not typically. I mean, brothers in arms is a classic relationship between uh, people who are like in conflict situations and serving together, which there absolutely doesn't have to be any sexual dimension to that at all. If
Mhm.
there is, then that's great, and that is wonderful for those people. But just having a brothers in arms relationship does not mean that. Which people nowadays, looking at it with our modern lens, tend to interpret it like too black and white,
Yeah.
which I
Yeah.
think is a classic error.
Yeah.
But
I
Mhm.
mean, people who are like in the military and stuff might understand it,
Mhm.
yeah,
but maybe most of us
Yeah. And
don't have that experience
there's
with it.
also like brothers in arms doesn't mean that they are always like always on the same page and always uh you know, a common front. They just might mean that they really want each other to survive. But beyond that, they have a lot of other issues and conflicts. And I'm saying this because that's what the relationship between Fotis and Diomedes is going to be. Like they grow together as brothers in arms in the second volume, because now they are separated, and that's necessary because they get different alignments, political alignments. But they will always be brothers in arms, always.
Yeah.
Even though,
always have that as a
yeah,
dimension.
yeah, even though they are going to go at each other's throat, as Greeks do, over politics, like it's the cultural national sport. Okay, we fight each other over politics always.
Yeah.
So, and unless you are a fascist, you basically do that as a sport, and you still care for the other person. So, but they will always look out for each other's back, like always. And then flip each other off, like I have come to help you escape this sticky situation, you bastard. That sort of thing. I hate you, don't do that. That kind of relationship, and that I think is also a kind of
Love
love.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
like going
Yeah.
deeper into that makes it more interesting and more fun, because that's not something you commonly see in a lot of fiction.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, say like
Not enough.
okay, a buddy cop kind of thing is another kind of relationship, and that's very typical. That's there's nothing new about that, and that's fun. Like a classic version is in Lethal Weapons or 48 Hours or something like that, where you have a buddy cop team, Starsky and Hutch.
Oh yeah.
Whatever. And you can do something more interesting by giving that a sexual dimension, like actually having them have unrequited feelings or requited feelings for each other. Maybe that is like a brotherly relationship, but also like there is a sexual dimension to that, and that would be cool.
Yeah, sure.
And not because it's woke,
no,
or whatever, because you don't see it as much. It's less.
I like power couples. I really like power couples. And when I say power couple, I don't really care about the gender, as long as they are a power couple. Like they, in the sense, what do I mean by this? Their relationship and their connection makes them stronger together. That's what defines a power couple for me. So, yeah, but speaking of another kind of love that I want to explore, and I'm going to be exploring in Verdant, is love towards your God, or love towards something divine, more abstract, and being dedicated to that. And that is our main one. We have two main characters, but three, if I'm being in Verdant, and one of them is Ethan, and he is basically a cleric sort of character. He's a D&D cleric type of character, to give a feel. So he is a monk, and he is an actual straight up dedicated monk in love with his goddess.
Nice.
But not just the goddess. Like the religion is very specific. I really should make the supporting pages for the world building, but there are 7 gods. He is in love with all of them. Let's put it that way. And of course, it is like a divine love. He dedicates himself to these gods, and that's he is not going to be romantically involved with anyone, but he has a lot of love for everyone because of this situation. So I'm going to be exploring this, and Callan, he starts off.
I can't wait. That sounds awesome.
Oh, thank you. And Callan is the opposite, in the sense that he has hate through religion. So he is the one that hates everyone as I am better than all of you because I am so awesome in doing what my gods require. So they come from from a similar premise, but the relationship with the divine and the relationship with the world through this divine thing is completely different. So that is something I'm going to be exploring. And yeah, and I do have a power couple in Verdant as well, who is the blind bad guy, and his lady, who is basically a flower. But she's like she's going to be easily, and it's not a spoiler, but she's the deadliest character in Verdant. She's the one that you really don't want to piss off. So yeah. Um,
Well, yeah, you went deep with the love. I like the love of gods. Now that's an interesting thing. Now, if we're talking like not just comics, but say like like Greek religion,
mhm,
Greek religion, Greek mythology.
mhm.
Um, so we have like characters who are often in love with gods, but they're not in love with gods in the way like a modern Christian person is in love with their god. It's they're actually
Yes.
in love with a god.
Oh yeah, sexually, complete with
Oh,
sex. So yeah.
And it's yeah, like or sometimes the god like tricks them into being in love with them and all this
Mhm.
kind of stuff. But there is a personal relationship with gods, and even if someone's not like sexually involved with a god and they love them because like they follow this god, there's still a more personal relationship with the god. It's not like loving like people treat like religion like kind of patriotism. I love this, and but it's for these characters it's more like an absolute personal relationship. Like if someone loves Zeus or loves Apollo or something like that, they're not just in the abstract. They actually do
Mhm.
love the god. And I'm not talking about like actual Greek people from history. I'm talking about the characters in Greek
Yeah, in
mythology, the
mythology.
human
Yeah.
characters. Yeah.
Mhm.
I don't know how the people in Greek, like in actual history, related to the gods, and I would imagine that would probably be much the same in the way as we do today.
Well,
Well,
they did
not
have
completely.
they had like their preferred gods in the sense that they dedicated themselves more to one god out of all of them, and it's not just the 12. There were more. The 12 are the Olympians,
Hmm.
the ones that live in Olympus, but there were more gods. So you would have each person having their favorite, let's say, that they would worship more than all the other
Yeah.
gods.
So Athenians would tend to be more towards Athena rather than
Yeah, yeah.
Zeus or whatever.
But also beyond that, you were required, not just obliged, you were required to worship them all, at least to a baseline, so that you did not offend them. But beyond that, you had your favorite, like, and sometimes it was very like a cliche in the sense that young maidens, girls worshipped Artemis more. Married women worshipped Hera a lot more, and what's her name? Hestia, uh, who was the goddess of the house and the hearth and protecting the family. So
Yeah,
that's
and it's not coincidental. It's because
Mhm.
not only relate to that, but it's because that god supports things that they deal with in the daily
Exactly.
ways. So
Yeah. So
makes more
craftsmen,
sense.
exactly. Craftsmen worshipped Hephaestus. Hephaestus is the Greek name. Okay, a lot more. The god.
Hephaestus, I think.
Yes, thank you. Um, you know, so on and so forth. So yeah.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. Yeah, so it's a slightly different thing from the way a story character
Hmm.
relates because the gods are real in stories.
Yes.
There's in reality, not so much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in reality, whether you believe in a god or not, they are abstract. They are
Yeah.
constructs and representations of your faith. So, but yeah, in mythology, you like can literally go to bed with a god.
Yes, they're that real.
Mm-hmm.
Oh dear. All right. Well, let's talk about like more kind of parent-child relationships in comics and things. Is that very common? I don't really.
Mm.
People don't do that very much because that is a more like abstract thing to a lot of people, and it's not as fun. So, the reason we tend to have love relationships in comics isn't just to show like realistic relationships between characters or give them like a background. It's to give tension and conflict, and you get that with a love between like people who have can have a sexual dimension in that relationship.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the relationships that you're biased
Yeah.
towards in stories, especially comics.
And the writing parents is tough for plot because usually a parent will not let their kid, get into risky situations, be out after hours, or do things without supervision and that sort of thing. So that's why I think, in my opinion, at least, a lot of the main characters that are minors are also orphans, so that nobody watches over them and they can do
Yes,
things.
Fortis is
Yeah. But he gets parents, quote unquote,
Yeah.
because Martha basically becomes his guardian in a sense, and then later when the kid is born, there will be more parental relationships happening, um, and personally, I will be breaking a lot of tropes for parenthood. So
Right.
yeah, yeah, and also because it is a very nice way to showcase how life was back then, and I really do want to showcase how, like, Greek society has this weird duality. They can be super conservative, like stiflingly conservative, and then at the drop of a hat, they become also like super progressive, weirdly so, and then back. It's like you live in a schizophrenic world. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah. So there's that. Um, I'm gonna show them.
Actually, talking about like the more parent like child son relationship, I was just thinking of Tolkien, which isn't a comic, which are the comic versions of it. So we've got like Lord of the Rings. There's a lot of complex relationships in
Yeah.
that I mean were pretty typical for stories of the time when that was written, like I don't know, in the 30s and the 40s, and even earlier when he kind of envisaged these things, but are not typical now. So that makes it more interesting because these things don't pop up now and people really don't understand it. So we have like the bromance between Frodo and
Mm-hmm.
Sam Gamgee, who is like his gardener and his manservant, and that's based on a typical like officer Batman relationship. So
Yeah.
a Batman was a private who was chosen to be like the servant of an officer, in that they'd like fetch and carry and collect stuff and make sure his shoes are polished and all this kind of thing. And Sam is in that traditional role, which Tolkien would have been very well aware of in his time, because that was the standard in the British Empire then. But people misunderstand it now and think it's more of a bromance kind of thing, and more of a sexual dimension, and they don't understand that freaking standard thing where these people would become brothers in arms. So there would be that like one person's a higher class, this person's a lower class, so they don't naturally they're not naturally friends, but they become friends because they're brothers in arms, which
Exactly.
that gives that relationship an interesting dimension. But people don't really get that in the modern world because we don't have that.
Yeah.
Then we have like Gandalf and Frodo and Gandalf and Bilbo, which is a kind of a father-son relationship, weirdly. or more like a caring uncle kind of relationship,
Right.
and caring nephew, don't you think?
Yeah.
And that's an interesting dimension, because that's another thing we don't get in modern writing. We just don't see it. If people are going to have a caring kind of adult figure and child figure, these days it will always be a mother figure.
Yeah.
Someone who
or a father.
matriarchal. I think, yeah, you're right. But yeah, we don't have that specific kind of thing that Frodo and Gandalf are, or Bilbo and Gandalf.
Yeah.
Like,
and
which is another interesting thing.
It is, and I think that a lot of that was lost because in the movies, because not the books, in the movies, because Jackson completely omitted the sky, like everything that happened after Gondor was freed and Sauron was destroyed. So the scouring of the Shire and all of everything that happens during this really brings home all the development and the character arc completion of all the hobbits, and not just the hobbits, some of the other characters as well, like for example Wormtongue and Saruman and all of that, and that is completely gone, and we miss vital pieces of these relationships and how they developed, to put them in the proper context. And this is like one thing for why I viscerally dislike Jackson's Lord of the Rings, even though it is just so well done in the imagery and everything else. But it's like they completely cut off the punchline. Like, why? Why would you do that?
Yeah.
We should have a Quackcast about understanding things in their proper cultural context. I think that's important. So that's what we're veering towards at the moment here. Love in its correct cultural context.
Exactly, and how it manifests. That would be amazing. Let's do that next time or whenever.
Good.
Yeah.
Oh yes, there's a lot of dimensions that, I mean, one of the things people often bring up in that and talking about love is, say, the relationship between Loki and I don't know, the stuff he gets into. So Loki has this weird thing where he like turns into a horse or something and has sex with another horse and gives birth to Sleipnir, which is this 8-legged horse, and he also gives birth to this huge dragon, and Hel, which is his daughter, which is this woman who has half her face is a skull, and she rules over Helheim, which is like kind of the purgatory in Norse religion. And people think, oh yes, well Loki, yes, he meant the existence of Loki, and all this means that Norse people were very open with sexuality and all this, and it's Loki is seen as being a freaking weirdo and a bizarre person, and this stuff really wasn't done in the context of being sexually open. It was sort of done in the context of Loki being like a weird magician and being an outsider. So yeah, it's and that's the thing. I mean, in the Norse kind of culture, there's a very strong thing about being an outsider and being like a part of the culture. So that's more what it's about, rather than like supporting people being weird. So, yeah, cultural context is important in order to understand these things correctly. Well, we should start to wrap up because we've only got less than 1 minute now.
Well, let's have some cliche statements about love. That is also love. Love is love.
Love makes the world go round. Love is important for everyone to understand, especially aliens, because they have to understand humanity by understanding love, because love is eternal, love is universal.
Yes.
And
yes.
Oh my God. Love is the most important thing in the world. Love is the most important thing in the whole world.
Yeah. And you know, guys,
Okay.
enjoy love and love thy neighbor, and generally, you know, be more loving than anything else. Bye.
Well said. Beautiful.
Bye bye.
Love you. We love you.